Welcome to Millennial Money Minutes, where we tackle tough personal finance topics in 5 minutes or less. With your host, Grant from MillennialMoney.com and Matt from DistilledDollar.com.
Hey everyone, super stoked. It's the Millennial Money course launch week. It is Thursday. The course launches today, so check it out at course.millennialmoney.com, course.millennialmoney.com. It'll be dropping sometime today, so make sure if it's not launched, you check back. Now back to the regular schedule of programming.
Hey everyone, welcome to today's episode. We're going to talk about crush debt. This topic is inspired by the fact that there's a lot of people out there that have credit card debt, myself included. It's just prevalent, I think, given that a lot of people have credit cards. It's kind of scary if you look up the average number of credit cards per person, or, just the widespread use of them today. And you can even trace it back to the 80s and 90s when they became much more prevalent and mainstream. But it just kind of builds into this overall, social movement towards more people being able to put more money on credit cards and incurring more debt. And so it just, people over time, I think, got used to it. And so this whole post or this whole podcast today is meant to be just around the topic of, crushing credit card debt. So if you have it, people kind of get used to it, but it's really, I get so worked up about this because
people get too comfortable with it. I think that's the idea. So people, a lot of people I talk to, they've got say $13,000-$15,000 of debt, and they think that they've had it for so long that they just get used to it. And some of those people just are paying off the interest each month and say, hey, in the future, I'm going to make more money. I'm going to be able to pay this off. But the simple reality is that you might not be making more money in the future, and that the longer you have debt, you're basically just paying money to someone else. And so if you can pay down that debt, it's like getting an investment return. We talk about this a lot. If you have a credit card and it has 16-17% interest, there is no better financial decision that you can make in the world than paying down that 17% debt.
Yeah, and this goes back to those good, better, best decisions we talk about. Maybe a good decision might be to pay down your debt, maybe the minimum payments, add some more, and, have a plan for 2, 3, 4, 5 years, some sort of plan in place. That's a good decision. But really the best one is, really going headstrong, seeing every category of your budget that you can cut out. And again, this is only for if you have high interest credit card debt that's just eating away at 18, 20, sometimes even higher in terms of the percentage, 20% higher in interest. And again, if you're trying to save $10 a week or a day, when you see an interest charge of $50, $80, $100 every month, that's just going to eat away. And if you really want to get angry about this, I say this a lot, but just look up how much money is made by the banks in terms of all this interest being generated from all these people missing all these payments. It's in the tens of billions of dollars. And it's just because, again, going back to the first point, it's just mainstream and people are comfortable with it, but I don't think anyone ever really addresses it as an emergency. And I think sometimes it can be if people are starting to, incur more, and, things kind of fluctuate in our lives. And so if it's comfortable to service it today and you have let's say a 2-year plan, we all live life. We all know within a 2-year span, there might be some sort of hiccup, a job might open up or a move or some sort of, big change in your budget. So those sort of big changes might all of a sudden, throw that plan, down the tube right there. So just that's why it should be, treated as an emergency and addressed immediately.
Honestly, I think it's probably the number one thing holding most people back. I know when I was living paycheck to paycheck, I felt comfortable with the credit card debt that I had. When I graduated college, or a little shortly after graduating college, I had almost $20,000 worth of credit card debt. And honestly, I just thought that was normal. And the sad thing is, it actually is normal, but that doesn't mean it's right. And it's the number one thing holding a lot of people back. You can't really invest and grow your net worth effectively if you're paying 17% interest on a credit card. And one of the things, I just got hit up today by a few credit card companies letting me know that they're actually raising the APR. So evidently the past week, a vast majority of the credit card companies have raised their APR. Now a lot of them are even over 20%. Very hard to escape 20% compounded debt. And so the thing is, it it's an emergency, to Matt's point, and you should crush it as quickly as you can. Make it your priority. Honestly, if you've got $10,000, $20,000 of credit card debt, you probably shouldn't be going on vacation. You probably shouldn't be going out on a Friday night. You should really focus on that and try to get back to zero, as quickly as you can. So hope this was helpful. Crush debt, and we'll chat with you soon.
Thanks for listening to Millennial Money Minutes. If you liked this podcast, please leave us a review on iTunes and subscribe. If you want us to cover a specific topic, use #MillennialMoney on Twitter or visit millennialmoneyminutes.com.